Merhaba, ElAlem programına hoş geldiniz. Bu hafta konuğumuz Nijerya'dan geldi. Hasan Sanusi Bayero, Nijerya Sineması konuşacak. Aynı zamanda ben de Nijerya'dan geldim. O yüzden programın içerisinde bazı yerlerde kendi dilimizi, bazı yerlerde İngilizce konuşacağız. Hoş geldiniz.
Thank you.
Kendini biraz tanıtabilir misin?
My name is Hasan Sanusi Bayero. I'm a student of Firaç University. I'm studying software engineering and this is my final year.
Oh, nice to hear that. So it has been long since you're in Turkey.
Yeah, actually I've been in Turkey for almost 5 years now.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
As I said in the introduction, our program is going to be about the cinema, of your country. So when we say the Nigerian cinema, what came to your mind at first?
Well, it's a very broad and vague topic, especially when you talk about the Nigerian cinema. Nigeria is a very multi-diverse place, as you know, almost a population of 220 million people. So it's pretty understandable for it to be a bit of a divided cinema. Where I come from, the northern part of Nigeria, we have our own film companies and, we have the southern ones. So we have the Kannywood and we have the Nollywood, as it is in the international cinemas with the Hollywood and the Bollywood. So we could, which one would you want us to talk about?
Well, at first, let's start with the general. In general, the Nigerian cinema, Bollywood, Nollywood, Kannywood, what are the topics discussed in Nigerian cinema?
Well, when it comes to Nigerian cinema started a bit earlier than most people would understand, because I think it started at the 19th century. I think one of the first movies that was ever shot in Nigeria started in 1920s, 1926 to be exact, because of the colonialism, because we've been colonized by the British, and so we didn't start making our independent movies and TV shows until maybe 1960s, after our independence. And almost immediately after our independence, there was a civil war and everything. So mostly the topics that are being showed in Nigeria are mainly true life stories from novel, usually fictionals, traditional, because we have a different kind of tradition, culture, queens and stuff. So they usually portray it, especially in the southern part of the country. And sometimes comedies are included as well. But mainly they are just doing an origin story, to know Nigeria and stuff. That's the kind of movies they do mainly in the northern part, in the southern part.
Well, you talk about the British, being in Nigeria for some times. What are the effect of the British cinema or the British in general to Nigerian cinema at that time and in recent time?
Well, there is a lot of connection, because whatever, but no matter how much the progress has come into the industry, it will always have a lineage with the British people. And when it comes to the cinema, I think we have been more affected right now. Presently, we've been more affected by the Indian movies. But talking about the Bollywood, it started with the British as well. So the British has a different hold on to our cinemas. But to this day, we still try to imitate them. We still try to do things the way they do them, even though we are not as developed as they are. But most of our TV shows depends on them, and our movies as well.
Well, while you are talking, you mentioned that there is Nollywood and there is Kannywood. Right. What are the main difference between these two sections? Since you are from the same country, it's the same Nigeria, what initiates the difference between the Nollywood and Kannywood cinema?
Well, one of the things that really differentiate them is the language they speak. Because mostly in the southern part of the country, you have a lot of people, even so English is our main language, it's our official language. Mostly people from the northern part stick to their language, the Hausa. But when you talk about the Nollywood, they are more advanced because it's more of an English kind of thing. Like they speak English. Sometimes at some movies or something, they speak their own native languages, Igbo, Yoruba, you can have it. But mainly the Nollywood is more about the whole Nigerian cinema. I think that's the concept. Like the Nollywood was constructed to just portray the whole Nigerian cinema. Even though there is Kannywood, but the major player right now is Nollywood.
Okay, yanzu kuma ga wani tambaya, me kake tunani da kan siniman Turkey? Kana rayuwa Turkey kusan shekaru 4-5 kamar yadda ka faɗa. Kafin ka zo ga Turkey ka san da fina-finan Turkawa ko kuma sai bayan da ka zo Turkey ne?
Kafin na zo ƙasan nan kwarai da gaske muna kallon fina-finansu, kuma saboda yanzu maganar fina-finan Turkey ya za a yi, idan ka bani izini zan koma na yi bayani da Turanci. Ever since I came to Turkey, I have knew almost a lot about it because I've watched a lot of their TV shows, I've watched a lot of their movies every evening. It's like a tradition. Every one of us sit and watch their movies, even though we didn't really understood their language because it was a very difficult thing to do, but we knew how they are, or we have an idea about what kind of country it is. Like one of the funniest thing I could remember when I was watching TV shows is how they show their breakfast tradition. All the time when it comes to the morning or something, we always wonder if they have an event or they're having something. Like it was really a curious thing, and we talk about it, like we make some researches about it, like how is it in Turkey and how their cinema is. So before I came here, I have an idea, and after coming here, I also have an idea, and it's very impressive. It's like what they're doing right now in the Turkish cinema is really, really impressive because of how they portray their culture. Everything revolves around culture. Everything revolves about tradition. No matter how much exposed we are, it always comes back to that. So their TV shows and their movies are really, really good. Even though sometimes they don't really show what the country is all about, but at least they make people wonder, which is an amazing thing, if you ask me.
Well, can you give us like 1 or 2 or 3 Turkish movies or series that you have watched, and the one that you like the most, or if you can remember any character or something like that?
Well, actually, but should I tell the ones I have watched here or the ones I've watched back home?
Well, just the one that you like the most. It doesn't matter whether it's before or...
Actually, it has a very, very long season. It's called like the Dirilish. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Yes, definitely Dirilish.
Yeah, it is amazing. I love it because it's so different. It's so real. And it takes us back to the Ottoman Empire, because ever since we're growing, we always hear about it. Turks are the Ottomans in the Ottoman Empire. We have this, we have that.
Well, but now we just talk about the series. What of a movie? For example, did you watch Ayla or Ayla? Then there's Sinemasını. There are also movies that I know you watch because you watch it together. So.
Yeah, like one of the movies that is top 5 in my life, which I have watched a lot of movies. I've watched Indian, American, everything. But that Sinemasını was top 3. It was really, really, really amazing. Because at some point, I forgot I was watching a movie. At some point, I was there. I was there in Trabzon. I was with them. I was with the family. And for the first time in my life, that made me cry. And not because I don't know, it was too emotional. It was too emotional for me to actually think about the family going through, and it was just amazing.
Yeah. Well, I have one question again for you.
Okay.
We asked some Turkish citizens about Nigerian cinema. Do you know the Nigerian cinema? Do you know anyone from Nigerian cinema? What do you think is their reaction to Nigerian cinema?
That's really a good one. Before coming on to this show, I spoke with one of my close friends, and I was telling the person that I was gonna come on this show and I was gonna talk about Nigerian cinema. And the first thing she asked me in Turkish was, Nijerya Sinema var mı acaba? I stayed for a minute and she was like, gerçekten bilmiyorum ya. And I'm like, nasıl? And she was like, is there any cinema? Do you have any movies in Nigeria? Because she doesn't know. And I was telling her, I was like, tabii ki var. Böyle. I was trying to explain it to her. She was shocked because she never knew.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the things that is worth noticing on this show. When you talk about the Turkish cinema right now, you talk about the Hollywood and something. There's a thing people call the soft power. And whoever has this has the power over people. And maybe it took the Turkish people a long time, but they have realized it. Because there used to be a syndrome when I was growing up, the American dream. Everyone wants to go to America. I wake up, I want to go to America. Right now, everyone in my country wants to come to Turkey. Everyone wants to come to Turkey.
And that's because of the Turkish movies and series that are playing in Nigeria.
Of course, everyone is saying, I want to come and see Omer. I want to come and have Turkish tea. It's the same, I think, in Morocco as well. It's the same in Nigeria. I think in Africa we have this. So I think it's you could say they have a really power, like the soft power right now is really working for them.
Mana san Sanusi Bayero, mun gode ma sosai da ka zo ka ba mu lokacinka a wannan program din. Mata yaran su çok teşekkür ederiz katıldığın için.
Kuma mun gode sosai da kuka sami mu a wannan gurin. Muna muku barka da. Ben de çok teşekkür ediyorum. Hayırlı akşamlar dilerim.
Arkadaşlar bizi izlediğiniz için teşekkür ederiz. Teşekkür ederiz bizi izlediğiniz için. Olmadı ama.
Nijerya.
Oldu mu?